Satchel from Steel Panther. You're listening to Metal Stream Radio with Metal Matt, and he's totally naked from the waist down.
Hey guys, Metal Matt back again, here every Friday and Saturday for your weekly dose of heavy metal here on Metal Stream Radio. You know me, I love singing heavy metal, I love talking heavy metal, and I love playing heavy metal, so that's what I'm here to do every week. Play some great songs, some stuff you may not have heard before, some stuff you have heard because we all love it. A real mixture, and some interviews from people you may or may not know too, because I interview a lot of different musicians, a lot of very well-known people in the past, KK Downing, Satchel of Steel Panther, and Mantis of Venom. And yeah, there's always people who might be coming on, most recently Rune, Blasphemer, Mayhem. You may know better than me, you know. I love some black metal, you know, like Venom, Gorgoroth. Mayhem I never listened to that much, but he's a really cool guy. He's been in a lot of cool bands, so I'm hoping to have him on soon to talk. He's very keen on coming on to chat. So yeah, lots of things to keep you interested, so stay tuned because there's going to be a lot of things, you know. This week's a really fun one because we're going to be playing some great music, and I've even got a special guest and unknown heavy metal fan, Krusty the Clown.
Hey, Krusty here. It's been a long day.
Oh, how are you, Krusty? So I heard you love heavy metal. That was a surprise to me and to many people.
Oh, you know me. Before I go on the TV for you all, I blast heavy metal. Judas Priest, Black Sabbath. It's my favourite. I'll play all the heavy metal. Anyway, I gotta go. Hey! Bye, everyone.
Well, there we go. That was a very brief interview with Krusty, but who knew? He loves heavy metal too. So there you go. Heavy metal is for the masses, even the clowns. You know, there's a lot of clowns in heavy metal, and but I won't go into that. I love all heavy metal bands, and you know, I'm not going to diverge, which I'm not so keen on, because I know we all love different stuff, and that's the good thing with heavy metal. It's quite a broad spectrum of, you know, styles and sounds, from thrash metal to death metal to you know, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, I thought I'd hit on a little thing straight away with some metal news that's going on this week. I heard a cool little thing from Wolfgang Van Halen. He's quoted talking about AI, saying it's stupid, basically, is what they've said here. It's quoted him saying it can't replace our brains and our creativity, which I think is really cool. Obviously, Wolfgang Van Halen, that's Eddie Van Halen's son. He's following in the footsteps of Eddie, which is really cool. So yeah, what was I getting to? Yeah, AI. You may have seen a lot of it by now. AI seems to be taking the world by storm now, and not in the most positive way. A lot of people don't know what's real and what isn't, and that's where it gets scary. And yeah, the amount of power that seems to be in AI. So it's cool to see a musician speaking out about it. And I guess the main thing musically, you know, there's a lot of other ways AI will affect our lives, but to keep this to the theme of music, you know, I don't know what you guys think, but I can't see AI ever really catching on, because I think people like to have a personal connection. That's one of the things with music. You're always going to want to have a personal connection with your artist and think about the life they've had and what they're singing about and how you can relate to it. And I can never imagine an AI, you know, for one, being is soulless. You know, I can't imagine any soul there in the music. You know, it's going to lack real soul, real feeling, and mistakes. You know, of course, many musicians and things, you know, they make mistakes. There's little things, voice breaks and guitar chords that go wrong, and all that kind of thing kind of won't happen unless it's trained to do that and make mistakes, which it could be. But still, like I say, for the overall, I think it's never going to replace anything. I was talking with Kane Roberts back a bit, did an interview with him, and he was kind of, he didn't seem too against AI. He was saying, you know, it's one of those things you can use to your own advantage. You know, no one's going to want to listen to just AI, but if you can use it to speed up the process of editing and things like that, and you know, maybe songs will kind of self-mix themselves, you know, that kind of technology. So, I don't know what I think, but I think tools, it's a dangerous area, but, I think, in the words of Prince, it's okay to use a computer, but don't let the computer use you. Or get on you, I think was his. Yeah, it's okay to get on a computer, but don't let the computer get on you. He phrased it better than me there. What a great point by Prince there. And even David Bowie, I remember him saying when computers first started coming out, there was an interview with him, with a famous British interviewer. You may have seen it. I can't remember his name though. But David was saying, computers is crazy. He said the next 20, 30 years or whatever, it's going to be crazy. Computers are going to take over the world, which I think they have, to the most part. There's a lot of screen addiction, phone addiction, and all our phones are designed to kind of keep us hooked. It's like a fruit machine. You got all the flashing colours and lights and quick dopamine hits. Everything's short now, which actually, aside from AI, is kind of linked in, but the way we distribute music and the way people listen to music mainly is different these days to, back in the day you'd buy the LP and you'd play it and you'd listen through a whole album. I'm later than that. I that's before my time, but I know it was a great way to do it, and the sound is known to be a lot better for one thing, and also people had more of an attention span. I think phones and things has adapted the way even musicians have to make music. You have to catch people's attention in a short space of time, and that is only done through short videos, maybe viral videos. You've got to try and make viral videos with your song, or get other people to make videos, and that's it's a weird web of things. And as a musician myself and a songwriter, singer-songwriter, I'm releasing a lot of music all the time, and it's quite a strange world to be releasing music because you're not necessarily into that stuff, and I'm really not. I'm not a big technology guy. But I've had to use it as a tool to get my own music out there, because how else are you going to do it? You don't get the talent scouts, in the words of KK Down, and when I interviewed him as well, he said, I don't know how you do it these days, getting it out there yourself, I guess, kind of thing, was what his advice was, because he said, I don't hear of these talent scouts and stuff. Back in the day, there'd be someone in the audience you'd hear, EMI or in the audience or whatever. And, that's how it was back in the Judas Priest days when those kind of bands found their feet and got their lucky breaks. But yeah, for new musicians, it's a whole other thing. And then we get into the money side of thing, and it gets even more depressing because people just don't make the money they should anymore. You can get, a good million or few million streams and only make, I don't know what, but probably, don't know, £100, maybe less, pennies, I think, for the streaming. The other sites, sometimes you can make a bit more. I make a bit from songs online, but that's because I got so many, I think so. But yeah, it's not easy. You need a lot of stuff out there, and you need the songs, but you certainly don't get what you deserve to get. I might make a little bit over a year, a couple of hundred maybe if I'm lucky throughout a year, which I'm happy with because it's just music and I'm putting it out there. But in terms of things in a general scale, it's nothing. You should be able to make music and make good money, but it's not the world we live in, because everyone wants free downloads and everything wants just free stuff. People are listening on YouTube, I guess, or whatever. So it's a weird world for musicians. I just thought I'd talk from a personal standpoint on that, really. And I think AI is just another kick in the teeth for musicians. So I definitely agree with Wolfgang on that one. He's saying it can't replace our brains and our creativity. That is the main thing to remember, I guess. We are the masters. We are the people who have to make the thing in the first place, that will resonate with people. I think AI is only going to be a problem if you let it be a problem, and yeah, I don't know. Who is gonna really want to listen to a band that is all AI? I know I never would. I'd never. Even Curiosity does not interest me. The only things that I guess are sometimes intriguing with AI is when they use other people's voices. Like they might get Elton John singing a Queen song or something because they can clone his voice or whatever. But I think that's where it gets weird and in a weird kind of copyright territory. Where really that shouldn't be allowed, but it's starting to happen. In fact, I think Elton John spoke out about that, actually. So he was a good example. He was worried that AI will kind of steal people's, not only their jobs as a musician, but their voice, it's really not right, because, they're singing songs they might have never wanted to sing, and they wouldn't have ever sang, and you're hearing their voice, and it's kind of stealing from the artist, really. It's stealing what they are, what makes them them, and I think when it gets into that territory, AI certainly isn't a good thing, but times are changing. There's so many things in the world changing. This might be the least of our worries, but in the end, does it even matter? Let's end on that with a bit of a Linkin Park In the End up next now. Hope you enjoy this. I'll be back talking to you in a second. We've got 2 hours of heavy metal and heavy metal talk, so I thought I'd just leave you on some thoughts there while we listen to In the End by the great Linkin Park and the late Chester Bennington on vocals. Amazing metal voice, really fantastic voice, but I think this is more of a gentle song. So enjoy, and we'll get heavier as the night goes on.
It starts with
one thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock takes life away. It's so unreal. Didn't look out below. Watch the time go right out the window. Trying to hold on to didn't even know I wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to be will eventually be a memory of a time I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to remind myself how I tried so hard. In spite of the way you were mocking me, acting like I was part of your property, remembering all the times you fought with me, I'm surprised it got so. Things aren't the way they were before. You wouldn't even recognize me anymore. Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I've put my trust in you, pushed as far as I can go. For all this, there's only one thing you should know. I've put my trust in you, pushed as far as I can go. For all this, there's only one thing you should know. I tried so hard
And there we have it. Beautiful song, Chester Bennington. Great voice, you know, what a loss to music when he unfortunately passed away. But his music lives on, and just a wonderful voice, and quite thought-provoking after that conversation we were just having together, guys. And it does make you think, what is the future going to be? It's very interesting times, and, will live music always be, something that people are interested in, will that suddenly become a thing where people would rather be on their phones? I mean, we've already got people, at gigs, using their phone, filming the whole show instead of being there in the present. And, I don't know what percentage that would be, but it's got to be up there, towards the 70-80% of people maybe filming and stuff. I wouldn't say there's many who don't film at a gig now. I myself, I'll film a few select moments, maybe a song that I've been waiting for, but I'll always try and enjoy the show mostly, and, not be seeing it through a phone screen. In fact, Bruce Dickinson recently talked about that, which was really interesting. He's very much against phones at the gigs, and I think even Ghost have, stopped people bringing phones, I think you have to put your phone in a bag or something before you enter the venue. They don't want any phones during, the Ghost show, which is good. That's how it should be, and I think maybe Bruce Dickinson is following in similar footsteps, from what I've gathered, which is, very good. I think, if more of us learn to live in the moment again, it's quite important, and I've got a quote actually by Bruce Dickinson on that matter. He said, it's like some terrible disease that people feel the need to look at the world through this stupid little device. It's like a failing of humanity. You're surrendering your senses completely to this little fascist in your hand. And so I feel sad. I also feel pissed off, because as a performer, I want to perform for an audience of people that have some emotional feedback, not a bunch of Android twerps. Fair play to Bruce there. That's a quote I found there. That's quite recent he said that. I think it's good, and it's good that Ghost, I think anyway, they don't allow you to have phones at the gigs. It's great. It's encouraging people to live in the moment, and not be sucked into having to film everything on your phone and see it through a device. And like Dickinson said there, it's just a waste of time. Why pay your ticket to go and see your favourite band, and just see it through the eyes of a phone screen? Just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And on the note of Ghost, apparently they've announced their 2026 North American tour dates. So anyone listening from North America, you might want to go see Ghost. They're not my cup of tea, I'll be honest, not my thing, not heavy enough maybe, for the image, I kind of was expecting another King Diamond, and it's a bit different to that, but they're creative and stuff, and I know they got a lot of fans out there, so that's some news for you guys. North American tour coming up next year, very cool. I'm probably heading back to England for a bit next year, and hoping there'll be some gigs. I'm also going to Spain, because we're changing there, me and the wife changing in Madrid, so I'm going to spend a couple of days in Madrid, a couple of days in Barcelona while we're there, because Barcelona is 2 hours away or something, although I've been reading awful things about it. I've been getting all these videos coming up of pickpockets and stuff in Barcelona since I've got the ticket, so that's just great. It was just, as I was going to England, we thought it's cheaper going via Barcelona, via Madrid, and then I thought, well, Barcelona's nearby, kind of, so couple of hours on the train, so might as well see the main places. Never really been around Europe and stuff, only Mexico and Ireland I've visited, and I'm out in Mexico now, as you probably know by now. I live here most of the time now, so lots of empanadas, tacos, tamales, and panochos, lots of great Mexican food. which I get to enjoy very often. So that's very nice. And you know, the hospitality here, they love the metal, and they love you know, singers, and you know, who can do that kind of thing. And being one myself, you know, they like my old school kind of heavy metal vocals with the high notes and stuff. I'm getting booked in for a lot of gigs lately, and got some more gigs coming up. Yeah, I've got to do a lot of practicing this next week or two for going to be doing a bit of Judas Priest, bit of the Ripper era with Burning Hell, and also Painkiller, and some other bands I'm having to do which I don't know much about, like Dream Theater. Having to learn some Dream Theater songs. Trying to think what else. Quite a few things. We got some Journey, Separate Ways. I love that one. But yeah, real variation of a set list which I got to kind of get down now and just listen to over and over and over, really, because playing with a band is a difficult thing, because you've got to be quite tight, otherwise the music's not going to fall into place, you know. If the guys are playing something, we've got to all be sort of in sync, you know. So yeah, me singing with backing tracks is very easy, but singing with a band is a challenge, a lot of concentration, and you got to really wait for the changes and stuff, and you know, really know the songs you're singing. And some of these songs I don't get much time to really put the time in to get to know, because some of them I just don't know at all. So yeah, I this time you know, I'm gonna really try and get it in my head before the gig. But there is a number of songs I do know too. We've got some great songs for the set list, so yeah, excited about that. So yeah, a very cool place to be, you know, for music. And even the metal cruise stopped off near here. I can't remember the exact name of the cruise, but there's like this cruise, and KK's Priests were on there. This was a year or two ago. It was in Cozumel. They ported, and I went along just to see the ship turn up, because I thought it was pretty cool. And I saw a few people from KK's Priest, and met Kit Winger. I went and got a photo or something with him, and I'd met him before in Bristol, so that was quite surreal meeting him in Cozumel this time. In fact, he was really impressed that I lived out here in Cancun. He said, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, I think he thought I was from Australia, and then I was like, "No, Cancun, from England." I said, "But I'm living in Cancun." He's like, "Oh, you live in..." Yeah, he's impressed. It's funny when the rock stars are impressed where you're living, you know. But yeah, it's a nice place to be, you know. It's quite different, you know. There's a lot of things in England I miss. A lot of the food for sure, and Wetherspoons and places like that where you can just go chill and just you know, there isn't so much of that here. It's all a bit expensive and that. Everything, the food shops, the supermarkets are like triple the price, no exaggeration. You know, go to Costco, it's just crazy. Probably everything's about 20 quid, 25 quid. You buy like some steaks, that's can't even be 50-60 pounds for like 6-7 steaks. It's very crazy. Equivalent, you know, this is in pesos, but yeah, it's a lot more expensive than I thought it would be. There's none of the nice supermarkets that we get in England, which you know, have all these meal deals and stuff. But to be fair, the quality's good though. The quality of the food is good. And so there's pros and cons, but it's a beautiful place, you know. You got the beautiful beaches. One of my favourites, Playa Delfines down here. It's Delfines translates to dolphins, so it's like Dolphin Beach. Never seen a dolphin there, but it's a beautiful beach. I've seen plenty of iguanas. I always say that wrong for some reason. I love my reptiles, but I always say iguana. I gotta say it right. Iguana. It's the spiny-tailed iguana. They're really cool, but you also get green iguanas here, and I've even seen like reddy coloured ones, but not very often the green and the red kind of ones. Yeah, different species, but the spiny-tailed iguana, they're like grey coloured. They're everywhere. You see a lot of those. So yeah, it's really cool. And like I say, people love the heavy metal. I've had some great audiences here. I've been lucky to perform a lot here, and with my kind of that kind of high painkiller, all that kind of stuff. They love all that high stuff, so I enjoy screaming out a few different songs. I haven't warmed up tonight, so I'm a bit rough on the vocal, but it's great when I do a gig here and get to perform. Yeah, great audiences I've had, And it's just great as an English guy to be able to perform a tour in Mexico is just surreal, really. It's crazy, and I'm just glad for the opportunity, you know. So yeah, been having a blast with that. But yeah, back to the AI thing. Although I won't go on about that too much now, because we've just got to kind of see what happens, I think. But yeah, I think the main thing is, you know, as long as we're keeping creative and also the phones, you know, going to gigs, you know, yeah, try put your phone down, try live in the moment, because I think we spend so much time on our phones, you know, we're not communicating with each other nearly enough. I mean, I don't know what the generation, I'm so glad I didn't get a phone till later in life, because I don't know what the generation of today, you know, who have just been born into phones and given a phone into their hand when they're like, I don't know, what age, 5 or whatever, you know, it's crazy. I never understand people who give their kids phones because, you know, they got their whole life to be a phone addict, and, you know, it's so beautiful to enjoy the world, you know, the real world, nature and wildlife, and, you know, I enjoyed all that stuff growing up, and I still do, and, you know, phones are a pale comparison to anything real, really. It's just quick dopamine hits, and, you know, in a way, it's the biggest drug of our society. You know, it is a drug. It's a drug that's already built into us, dopamine. You know, and you know, the phones help us release it because they've got clever people who work out all these algorithms, all these things to keep you hooked. You know, so yeah, there's a lot can be said for phones. You know, and the addictive nature of them and the way they're designed to be like that. And there must be a reason why people are so obsessed with filming shows and concerts. You know, I think partly, yeah, people like to look back on it, but I think the bigger thing is they want their friends to see they went to that show. They can't bear to think, you know, that they won't get a few hundred likes on a video of Bruce Dickinson screaming away, you know. But does it really matter? You know, I don't know. I mean, without it, you know, we do miss out on some good clips, the people who weren't there. But at the same time, who cares, you know? You got to just enjoy it. I say film a couple of times if you have to, take a few pictures, but, you know, get into the thing. I remember seeing Judas Priest in Wolverhampton, and because they're my favourite band, and filming was the last thing I wanted to do. I took a few pictures, but, like, I remember I got quite emotional on Desert Plains. I was just stood there. I never thought I'd get emotional at a gig, but I think it happens to a lot of people from what I've heard since, but, you know, I just, like, it hit me how much the band means to me and this music means to me, and it is the soundtrack of our lives, you know. When you're a teenager and you first get those albums and you listen to stuff, you know, certain songs, you know, you can put your earphones in and it just gives you confidence, makes you feel good, and, you know, music definitely got me through a lot of my teenage years of anxiety and, you know, that kind of thing. Music's a big thing, and I guess, yeah, me seeing Judas Priest, my main band, was a big thing, you know. I saw them a lot of times. I've seen them Download Festival 2015, and Rob Halford was quite new to Instagram at that time. He was impossible to kind of know anything about when I first got into Judas Priest. He was very kind of not on social media, nothing like that, very like an enigma. Now it's like you can see him everywhere with cat t-shirts on and stuff like that, which I don't know if that demyths stuff really when rock stars go into social media, you know. It's good in a way, you know, but at the same time it demyths kind of what you thought they were and things like that. You know, I mean, he seems a great guy still, and I've met him many times. He is a great guy, but, you know, just not just Rob, but any kind of rock stars on social media, it kind of it misses out on that kind of thing that back in the day in the 80s where you didn't know anything about these people and you'd have the Kerrang magazine or whatever to see little things about them and you'd imagine what they are. I think that's a big part of music, so that's another tying back into social media and things like that. Is it a good thing when these famous people show their whole lives or, you know, parts of their life and, you know, are too accessible? It's kind of I think it's good to have a bit of imagination sometimes. But what I was getting to is, Download Festivals where I saw them. I don't know if that was the first time. No, Hammersmith Apollo, where they filmed the Epitaph shows, was my first time, and I met all the band going in. It was really cool. I was making friends with people out in the queue. You know, we queued all day, and then Scott Travis arrived in a taxi, and I had a drawing of Rob Halford for him to sign. I was getting the whole band to sign it if I could, and Scott looked at it. He did down the window of the taxi and looked at it and said, "That ain't me." I said, "Yeah, I know." I said, "I'm just getting the band to sign it," or whatever. And I had a couple of album covers in my hand because I didn't know who would arrive. You know, I had Screaming for Vengeance, which he obviously didn't play on, and Nostradamus. And he said, the first thing he said was, "That ain't me," but he did sign the drawing, and then he said, "Oh, I'll sign that one, but not the Vengeance one," or whatever, which is fair enough, you know. But then since I have seen him sign Vengeance many a time for different people, yeah, he was a bit quirky, Scott, but I think it's his American humour. He's a bit dry, a bit sarcastic. Kind of humour, you know, but he's a funny guy, and he got out the taxi, and he was really tall. I was really small at that time. I still am, you know, but I was like 15 then, but I was, I got a photo, and he was towering over me, you know. Yeah, he's a really big, tall guy, you know, and Rob is pretty tall as well, something people don't realise. But yeah, and then I met Richie. I always loved his guitar playing, you know. Obviously KK, my hero. I loved KK, you know, the original. He's probably my favourite guitarist ever, KK, along with Satchel, Steel Panther, and maybe Kane Roberts on those Alice Cooper albums. Probably my top guitar players. But Richie, I really loved his sound, and I used to chat with him on Twitter, and he always like retweeted my Judas Priest guitar covers and stuff. So he's a nice guy. Yeah, stuff like that. So meeting him was surreal. So I got to meet him, and I got everyone to sign this Rob Halford drawing that I did. Apart from Rob, I saw Rob walk in, and he was very quick. He just walked in. Well, it was a taxi, took him in, and then I think he got out of the taxi and just walked through very kind of quickly. But it was cool to see him. It was like, wow, that's Rob there. And then after that, I've met him many a time. I've been very lucky, and I got him to sign the drawing another time. And he said, "Oh, you're very talented." Well, first he said, "Did you do that?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, you're very talented. I wish I looked like that." Yeah, that's what he said. I'm remembering it now as I think about it. Yeah, he said, "Did you do that? Did you do that? Oh, you're very talented. I wish I looked like that." It's my best Birmingham accent there, not the best. But yeah, nice of him. Very kind, very nice. To be called talented by the Metal God is very cool. And I've since been called Metal Matt by him. Not recent years, but back when I've met him a few times. And I got a Christmas card off him one year, and he sent me a big envelope with a promo shot of him, which he just got done. And he put on the envelope Metal Matt and my address, and then inside was a smaller card with a Christmas card with Metal Matt, and all this stuff he sent me, like a plectrum Metal God pick, and like I say, the promo shot. That was really cool. He did that off his own bag. I wasn't expecting that, you know. So that was surreal, and I treasure that Christmas card. I treasure the name Metal Matt. It was a real honour to have that name from him. But tying back to the story I was saying, so I saw him at Download Festival, and this is when he had Instagram, like when he just started Instagram, and he was kind of replying a bit more then. I used to tag him in pictures and stuff, and I used to be big on cycling, and I'd cycle around my whole town like twice. I was like 18, so I had a lot of energy. I'd cycle around my whole town, the outskirts of it, and up this big hill, and I could never do it now. It was crazy. I remember this hill was so steep. I'd be cycling up this hill really, really, you know, steep, and having to really put the effort in, you know, to turn the cogs on my bike, you know, and it was but I managed to do it most of the times, you know, but yeah, I did it twice the whole route, and it was crazy. But I'd have my earphones in, and I'd listen to King Diamond, Judas Priest, and I'd always edit a little video with me in the middle, well, a picture, sorry, me in the middle, a selfie, like with what I'm listening to on the sides. And I used to tag Rob when it was Judas Priest I was listening to, and I remember I had Judas Priest and King Diamond. And he said, he commented on Instagram, the man has good taste, which was very nice. And yeah, I remember another time I said, we're going to Download, me and my friend. And he said, see you at Download, and then turned out Download rained a lot, and it's a funny story, me and my friend were in this tent, which we had no experience buying tents, but I think it was a 2-man tent or something, which turns out is actually a 1-man tent, and we were led in there like sardines just next to each other. And when we went to see Judas Priest, it was Slipknot after Judas Priest, and it was a long gig. We stayed up front, we were up the very front, which is amazing really. We had to get there pretty early, and for a festival we were quite lucky to be at the front. But yeah, Judas Priest were great. They had Five Finger Death Punch on before them, and then Slipknot was the end show. Priest were great. Slipknot, it was my first time seeing them, and I didn't listen to a lot of them, but it was okay. Not my thing really, but it was a good show. But it was raining the whole time, and we were in vests, just wearing a vest, and it was so cold. I remember when the gig was finished, I was just shaking. I couldn't uncontrollably shaking my hands. I was like, I have to eat something, got to get a burger or something. And I remember that feeling, getting a burger, and a hot burger while it's rainy, really rainy. And then I went to our tent, and it turned out we'd left our tent open a little bit, the zipper, completely wet inside the tent. So then we had to sleep in this tent for 3 days. We were there, and I found myself not sleeping at all. I'd sleep for a couple of hours and wake up, and I couldn't breathe because the dampness of the tent had got to my throat, and I'd be coughing. So I woke up, I'd sleep for 2 hours. And the only way I'd sleep in the first place is I'd have to down a few shots. The bars were always open, so I'd go out, down a few shots, come back to the tent, and just sleep for very little time. And as soon as I woke up coughing, I was like, I'm not going to get any more sleep. And then I'd be up for the whole day and go and see the concerts again. But yeah, as a teenager, I managed to do it. Now, no, I couldn't do that now. But yeah, I remember seeing Marilyn Manson, and that was still, that was more when he was in his bad kind of period where he was, drinking a lot and things like that, I think, but it was great to see him. I loved listening to Manson at that time, the Mechanical Animals album and stuff like that. Lunchbox is a great song. I love the early Manson stuff. But yeah, so I was really into Manson, and we were far back for him. I saw him, I think Slash was there with Miles Kennedy. Kiss was the highlight. They were fantastic to see Kiss. Then one of the best shows I've seen, they were coming over on a zip wire, Paul Stanley coming over the audience on a zip wire, all the theatrics, big fireworks at the end, and that was amazing. Seeing Kiss was just fantastic. Great memories, and me and my friend had a blast, but that was back in 2015, and after, I remember saying to Rob, we got wet or whatever. I said it rained and that in the comments to one of his things, and he got back, we all got wet. We all got wet and had a blast, something like that. I thought, I had a blast at the show, but I certainly didn't have a blast sleeping, For 3 days I had near to no sleep, and that really did, take it out of me. It was tough. Couldn't wait to go home by the end of it. And it was a big trek, I think, to walk to where the cars can collect you at the end of it all. And obviously everyone leaves their tents, hundreds of tents there, and people have to go and collect all the tents when it's all packed up. I'm hoping we left our tent, I can't remember, but I hope I didn't think I had to keep that one and drag it home, which I might have. I should have left it there if I did, because it was an awful tent. There's no need for that tent ever again. So on the note of Marilyn Manson, I was just happy to see him. He certainly looks like he's doing better shows now. He's really on top form. He's really sorted himself out and got really healthy and sober, I think. And he seems to be, he looks like he's doing great, and he's singing great, and he looks completely different. He's back to his young look, which is crazy. He seems really top form, and he's singing fantastic. So I'm going to listen now with you all to a bit of a Great Big White World from Mechanical Animals album. One of my favourites, probably my favourite Manson album, bit of a Bowie vibe. I think that was deliberate, because he's a big inspiration on Manson. So yeah, and talking about the state of the world at the moment, and the ever-changing things that are happening, I think this is a great song for it. So enjoy, guys, with Great Big White World.
In space, the stars on the mirror just glitters like a mark. And I dreamed I was space when burned like a moth in a flame, and our world was so fucking I'm not attached to your world. Nothing heals, nothing grows. I'm not attached to your world. Nothing heals, nothing grows. 'Cause it's a great big wide world. We are drained of
There we have it, A Great Big White World. Fantastic song. I really enjoy that one. I think the whole vibe of that album is just really kind of surreal. There's not really anything else like it, you know. But anyway, I'm going to keep the music coming because we've had a lot of talking this week. But some great stories. I think we've been able to share some great stories together, and I hope you've enjoyed hearing my rock and roll stories this week. That's what it's all about, and I think we'll play a bit of Iron Maiden with a classic with Paul Di'Anno, the late Paul Di'Anno. I actually met Paul Di'Anno back when KK's Priest, which is KK's newer band, when they performed in Birmingham, Paul Di'Anno was supporting him. I thought, that's amazing. I always wanted to see Paul perform, and it was a perfect gig, you know. KK always puts me on the guest list because we're good friends now. Since I interviewed him, he's very kind to do that, you know. So I always try and make his shows when I'm in the UK. And yeah, it was fantastic. Amazing show. And Ripper sounded incredible. KK, obviously, always incredible. The whole band. But Paul was on first, and he was obviously in his chair, but he still rocked out. And, you know, he had a lot of health problems. Was so sad when he passed away, but I'm so glad I got to meet him. And, he signed all my stuff, and we had a good chat. I remember he was wheeled up to us. We were sort of outside the back of the venue with a lot of other fans. But he come straight up to me and my friend and signed our stuff. And he said, "Oh, how's Birmingham?" I said, "Oh, still as grim as ever, you know, pretty grim up there. It's always raining and different things." And he laughed kind of thing, and I said, "Oh, you got an amazing voice, Paul." He said, "Oh, you might not think that tonight," he said. And he was just really cool and funny and laughing kind of thing. And he signed 2 Iron Maiden album covers for me, and my friend did some art, which she was getting all the band to sign, you know, KK's Priest and Di'Anno, you know, all those guys, you know, whoever she met, she had like this rock cat. She likes drawing cats, this cartoony kind of thing. But yeah, it's quite cool. She got all their signatures on there, Paul Di'Anno and a few others. KK, Ripper, she did manage to get everyone from what I remember. So that was cool, and I got my Maiden album signed. And it's funny, he went really quick. He was like, "Right, that's it." And he left and went back into the venue. His mate was kind of rushing him a bit and stuff. But yeah, we got really lucky because I don't actually remember him signing anything else for anybody else apart from me and my friend. So we got really lucky, and it was a great meeting. I remember in the venue, though, after his show, he got a bit stressed out because his mates had to actually carry him off the stage, like, really badly, you know. It was really bad for wheelchair access, that venue, and they actually carried him off the front of the stage, his friends, and you could see they were struggling, you know, because it's quite heavy with a big wheelchair, taking that off the stage, you know, and they took it down. And Paul was kind of stressed out because it was like he was having to be wheeled all through the crowd, and yeah, he was really stressed out. And I was walking that way, and he got to a lift, and he looked at me and said, "Oh, sorry, I just stressed out," or something, or I can't remember what he said, just stressed out, I think, something like that. He said, "Oh, sorry, I'm just stressed out," because he was quite he seemed mad, you know, but that's kind of his personality, kind of, he had that punk attitude. But yeah, but then you could see that nice soft side he had as well. He was a nice guy. And I'm just glad I had that moment with him, and, you know, a few moments with him that night, and, you know, got to meet him kind of a few times, which was cool. And yeah, just a great gig, great show. So glad I got to see him. His singing was brilliant. Great to hear all these beautiful songs, including this one we're going to play next. Which I think you'll agree is just one of their most beautiful songs, and I love the whole Paul Di'Anno era, you know. He was the voice of Maiden for me personally. I love that stuff, and this is Remember Tomorrow.
Unchain the colors before my eyes. Yes, scan the horizon. The clouds take me higher. I shall return from out of the lonely boy out in the madness, the all-seeing eye flickers above us to light up the unchain the colors before my eyes. Yesterday's sorrows, tomorrow's white lines. Scan the horizon, the clouds take me higher. I shall return from out of the
Tomorrow. Beautiful. I love when heavy metal kind of has a kind of beautiful kind of a vibe as well, you know, beautiful ballads. You can see that heavy metal's not just about the aggression and the kind of, you know, the hard-hitting approach. It's got depth, you know, there's ballads, you know, and there's beautiful vocals, beautiful guitar playing, you know. All the heavy metal bands, you know, of this kind of period were just showcasing their ability as musicians, you know, incredible musicians, you know. In a way, it's limiting to even just call it heavy metal, because they you know, are capable of so much. But I love that the bracket of heavy metal can kind of incorporate all these things. It's not pop music. It's not a pop ballad. It's a rock ballad, metal ballad. It's you know, it's within the territory of heavy metal. I think instinctively most people just think heavy metal is all loud, heavy, you know, and that's kind of what some people don't like about it, I guess. But who cares about them? That's you know, that's what it's all about. Just the rebellion of it all. We don't want everyone to love us. It's nice to have the unique thing of being part of the metal community, you know, and you know, flying the flag for heavy metal, you know. And yeah, I'm glad to be doing it here. It's great to have this show, to be able to talk to you all and yeah, share some great stories and some great songs. And yeah, talking of great songs, I'm going to play a little song by Judas Priest now off that album I was talking about earlier, called Revelations. This is off Nostradamus.